I'm thinking that as more and more comes out, he will be more privy to be sharing things about the royal family and trading secrets for cash.
Well, he's a private individual now, Samara. Do you know about this? It's like we were investigating his new property up in Sandringham. We believe it's a place called Marsh Farm, but we're told by the palace that they cannot comment because there's GDPR, which is like data protection rules, and that he's a private individual. Does he now deserve to be a private individual, to live a private life up in Sandringham without us asking questions about where he lives, and should he speak to the police?
It is meant to be one of the most convivial dates on the royal calendar. The King's annual pre-Christmas lunch at Buckingham Palace is traditionally a carefully staged display of unity, warmth, and festive goodwill. Senior royals arrive smiling, the wider family follows, and the message is always unmistakable: all is well within the House of Windsor. But this year, one image sharply disrupted that familiar narrative. As the Prince and Princess of Wales led arrivals in London, and as Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie were photographed smiling as they joined the celebrations, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor was nowhere near the palace. Instead, he was seen miles away, riding alone through Windsor Great Park, exposed to the rain and cut off from the gathering altogether. The contrast was striking. Photographs published that day showed Andrew moving across sodden ground, rain streaming from the brim of his riding hat and down his face. His posture was upright yet rigid, his expression fixed and unsmiling. There was no sign of interaction, no hint of enjoyment. Only a solitary figure navigating bleak weather while his family gathered for a celebration he did not attend. According to one expert, that moment may not have been coincidental. Body language and communications specialist Judy James was quick to offer her analysis, suggesting the imagery sent a powerful and deliberate message about isolation, distance, and exclusion within the royal family. Speaking about the images, she said Andrew appeared to have gone full-on Marley's Ghost, likening the scene to something deliberately bleak and almost theatrical. There was, she noted, no hint of pleasure or exhilaration. Instead, he sat rigidly in the saddle, looking solemn and gloomy, as though performing isolation rather than simply experiencing it. Her observation went beyond Andrew's obvious discomfort. It was the contrast that mattered. At the very same moment, his daughters were being photographed inside warm cars, laughing and smiling, wrapped in festive coats as they arrived at Buckingham Palace. According to Judy James, the visual divide between father and daughters was so stark it risked conveying emotional pressure rather than quiet dignity. She put it bluntly: when you choose not to attend a gathering, and you want those close to you to feel comfortable going without you, you typically make a show of coping well. You wave them off cheerfully. You remain at home, settled and content. You do not cast yourself as a sudden symbol of exclusion. Andrew, she suggested, did precisely the opposite. Of course, Andrew's absence from the King's pre-Christmas lunch was hardly a surprise. He has not attended in recent years, and following his removal from royal duties, the loss of his titles, and the ongoing fallout from his association with Jeffrey Epstein, exclusion from public family events has become routine. What made this moment different was the timing. The lunch took place as renewed scrutiny continues to swirl around Andrew's past, with further Epstein-related material expected to surface, and with the King having already made his stance unmistakably clear. Charles has previously spoken of Andrew's serious lapses in judgment and has publicly aligned himself with survivors of abuse. The message from the monarch could not be firmer: Andrew is out. His daughters, however, are not. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie remain firmly within the royal fold. Both attended the lunch. Both were photographed smiling. And both continue to be included in royal events whenever they choose to attend. That distinction is significant. Royal watchers will also recall that last year neither Andrew nor Sarah Ferguson appeared at Christmas celebrations. This year, the pattern has held. The former Duke of York and his ex-wife are no longer welcome at these gatherings, but their daughters are being treated very differently. According to long-standing royal commentary, King Charles is known to be close to both Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie and has made a deliberate effort not to hold them responsible for the actions of their parents. In practical terms, that means invitations continue to arrive for the sisters even when they do not for Andrew. Which brings the focus back to that rain-soaked ride. some have suggested Andrew's decision to go riding that day was simply routine. He is known to enjoy horse riding, and Windsor Great Park is familiar territory. Others argue the timing was nothing more than an unfortunate coincidence. But Judy James, along with several other observers, sees something more calculated. She described Andrew's expression as teeth gritted and eyes fixed straight ahead, signaling determination rather than resignation. It was the posture of a man pushing on despite the weather, despite the circumstances, and despite the optics. In her view, the image projected solitary endurance, almost deliberately set against the warmth and comfort his daughters were experiencing as they arrived at the palace. Whether intentional or not, the effect was striking. The phrase, "Marley's ghost," resonated for a reason. It evoked the image of a figure haunting the edges of a celebration he can no longer enter, watching, circling, present but excluded. And it raised an uncomfortable question. Was Andrew trying to make a point? The imagery, some suggest, could be interpreted as a silent message to his daughters, one that might stir conflicted emotions about attending family events without him. Not through words, but through symbolism. Andrew himself has made no comment on the photographs, and the true motivation behind his decision to ride that day remains unclear. But royal life has always been as much about symbolism as it is about substance, and this particular symbolism was difficult to ignore. Behind the imagery, however, looms a more practical reality, one that cannot be obscured by symbolism alone. Andrew is now widely believed to be in his final weeks at Royal Lodge, the sprawling 30-room residence in Windsor that he has occupied for years. Reports indicate he is being required to downsize, with plans to relocate in the new year to a far smaller property on the King's private Sandringham estate. According to multiple sources, some of Andrew's belongings have already been placed into storage as quiet preparations for the move get underway. The scale of the transition should not be underestimated. Royal Lodge is an expansive property, long associated with status, privilege, and permanence, making this shift not merely practical, but deeply symbolic. Here is a polished, broadcast-ready rewrite that strengthens the symbolism, tightens the ending, and delivers a clean call to action. Sandringham accommodation is not where a man once positioned at the center of the monarchy would ever have expected to end up. The shift is symbolic of Andrew's fall from grace, and in that context, the image of his solitary ride feels heavier still, not merely excluded from a lunch, but nearing the end of an entire chapter. Meanwhile, life inside the palace carried on as usual. The king hosted the lunch. The Prince and Princess of Wales led proceedings. Extended family members arrived smiling as cameras flashed, preserving the appearance of festive continuity. Even within Andrew's own family, life moves forward. While Princess Beatrice attended the lunch, her husband was notably absent. Shortly after photographs emerged of Beatrice arriving alone, he posted on Instagram to say he was in Los Angeles, tagging his design studio, Bandier Properties, and explaining he was in California for site meetings. A reminder that even within royal marriages, separate schedules and professional obligations are entirely normal. For Andrew, however, the absence cut far deeper. This was not a diary clash. It was a line drawn, and the palace made no attempt to soften it. There was no alternative engagement, no discreet background appearance, and certainly no statement of goodwill. Just silence, rain, and a lone horse ride photographed from a distance. Some royal watchers see this as the firm holding its position. Others view it as a carefully maintained boundary. Andrew remains physically close to royal life in Windsor, surrounded by familiar landscapes, yet socially and symbolically distant. For now, the monarchy has decided that is precisely where he belongs. What is perhaps most striking is how little effort is being made to disguise that reality anymore. In previous years, absences were often explained away or quietly managed. This time, the contrast was allowed to play out in public. The images were published, the commentary followed, and no one has rushed to correct the narrative. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, once a central figure in royal life, now rides alone in the rain while his family gathers without him. So let me ask you this: was that image a moment of genuine solitude, or a carefully chosen piece of silent messaging? And as the royal family moves toward Christmas at Sandringham, Do you believe Andrew's isolation is now permanent, or is there still a path, however narrow, back to the outer edges of royal life? Let me know what you think. And for more royal updates like this, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.